Hey there, Cowboys fans. First off, thank you all so much for clicking on today's video with the latest Cowboys rumors. Before we get into it, though, I want to let you guys know that we have the data for us, and we're getting about 40% of you guys to 50% of you watch the show and yet aren't actually subscribed, which makes little sense to me because we've got Cowboys videos every single day. As we march towards 100,000 subscribers here on the Dallas Cowboys Report, I want you guys to join us. Hit that big red button and subscribe today for videos every single day on America's team. Cowboys rumors coming at you guys, beginning with some Mo Hurst and Sheldon Richardson conversation. Unfortunately, not the way we want things to go. I'm giving this one 3 stars that they will not be coming to the Dallas Cowboys. Comes to us today from Mike Fisher, who says his sources tell him the Cowboys aren't interested in either guy. And we'll break down why it's 3 as opposed to 4 in a second, but first, the Mo Hurst side of things. Now, as many of you guys already know, Mo Hurst does have a congenital heart defect that popped up when he was entering the NFL draft out of Michigan. And if I'm remembering correctly, and I might not be, so my apologies if not, but I think Fisher had reported way back when the draft was undergoing for Mo Hurst that the Cowboys did still have him on their board. I might be misremembering there. If so, my apologies. But Fisher does report the Cowboys simply aren't interested in Mo Hurst. It's not because of the heart thing. They just don't value him very much. And I am starting to suspect that Maurice Hurst falls into what I call the Desmond King style category. Players that you and I all like very much. They're young, they're talented, they flashed, and yet they aren't valued the same way in the NFL. King did not fetch much in a trade, did not sign very much this offseason. I wonder if Mo Hurst is in a similar category. Meanwhile, there is Sheldon Richardson, who, again, Cowboys apparently don't have much interest. Fisher says it might be because of history of off-the-field issues. For those of you not aware of what that is, he has had previous issues, reckless speeding and driving with a minor in the car. One of them, he was going obscenely fast, and Richardson himself has mentioned how he smoked too much marijuana. All those things, he says, are behind him. Also, we know this about the Dallas Cowboys, unfortunately. They like their guys, darn it, and they will continue to believe that the guys on their roster are good enough to get it done. It was just a coaching issue. Now, for his career, back to Mo Hurst on this side of things here. 76 tackles, just 8 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. I am a believer that Mo Hurst has been underutilized and even improperly used by the Raiders in his time there. When he's been on the field, I've seen pass rushing value. Yes, he's undersized. The Raiders brought in Malik Collins and used him a bunch, and I thought Malik Collins was bad last year, and even worse than he was with the Cowboys. So, again, as you guys should know, I would love to bring in one of these guys, be it Hurst or be it Sheldon Richardson, who is a little bit older, but still put up pretty decent production for the Cleveland Browns, and I think price tag-wise, they wouldn't be that expensive. Where things get tricky is maybe they revisit this after the NFL draft. Because as far as I'm concerned, and I think the Cowboys feel in a similar fashion, defensive tackle is still a need for this Dallas Cowboys team. Yes, Neville Gallimore is on the roster, Antoine Woods along with Tristan Hill and Brett Urban, but Mo Hurst and Richardson are better than Carlos Watkins, who I remain unconvinced makes the roster. But if the Cowboys plan, or at least want to have the flexibility to take a defensive tackle early, be it late round 1, round 2, round 3, early round 4, or multiple picks at some point on the defensive line, well then maybe they don't want one of those guys to help keep that spot open, if you will, via the draft. Now, let's say you could get one of these guys. Again, it does seem a little bit unlikely as we currently sit here. Which one would you rather have? Pick a defensive tackle for me. Type H for Maurice Hurst or type R for Sheldon Richardson. If you want neither or both, feel free to comment as well, but pick at least one for me. H for Hurst, R for Richardson. Let's go to the draft now. Patrick Surtain, is he a perfect fit in Big D? I'm going to give this one 4 stars, and I was going to give it 3 and perfect's a strong word, but yeah, whatever. He's a good fit. He is a very strong fit for what the Cowboys want to do on defense. Pairing him back at cornerback with his old teammate makes a lot of sense there. Now, this actually comes to us from Patrick Surtain Sr., his dad, who, of course, had a very long and successful NFL career. Surtain's dad is hyped up his son's fit with the Dallas Cowboys, citing the whole Seahawks defense style thing, and it does make sense. Surtain has the length and size and overall speed. Even if you factor in it was a juiced pro day, it still checks off the boxes there to make things work out for the Cowboys there. And yeah, perfect might be a little bit of a stretch, but not exactly by much. So here's what his dad had to say when asked about his fit with the Dallas Cowboys, also mentioning it's the whole Seahawks-style defense there. Quote, "That's why I think he's highly coveted, because he's an all-around corner. He can play man. He comes up and can tackle. He can play in the slot if need be. I think it'll be a perfect fit." Now, I actually don't love Surtain in the slot. There's a reason he skipped his 3-cone and short shuttle agility testing. But I do not want to make that seem like I dislike Surtain. He is my number one defensive prospect this year, thanks in part to Caleb Farley's back issues. But 43.8%, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 9 pass breakups. He is a legitimate cover corner, a legitimate shutdown outside. He could potentially be your number one corner. And the Cowboys need corner help because you got Trevon Diggs, who had a very promising first year. Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, who I like more as kind of your CB3-4 combo, and that leaves a gaping hole at CB1/cornerback 2. It's the team's biggest need right now because CJ Goodwin's a special teamer. The Robinsons exist, and then Maurice Kennedy didn't do much at all because he opted out last year and is maybe a backup nickel corner option as well. So knowing many of you guys do want Patrick Surtain, you can still answer him, but let me know in the comments section. Who do you want the Dallas Cowboys to draft in this year with the number 10 overall pick? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Now, we've also got, speaking of draft, the official Cowboys 2021 NFL Draft hats. These are available at chatsports.com/Cowboys Draft. You can get yours today, and I'll put that link in the comments section and in the description. Go check them out. chatsports.com/Cowboys Draft. They got a bunch of different styles in terms of the snapbacks and the flex fit and the flat brims and the rounded brims. Tons of variety there. And they actually look good after looking like complete garbage in recent years. 2020 and 2021, back-to-back, at least solid and wearable draft hats there. Get yours today at chatsports.com/Cowboys Draft. Let's go to Micah Parsons here. Is he the next Randy Moss? I'm going to give this one star. I thought about giving it fake news, but our fourth story is getting that. Stay tuned. On one hand, I get the comparison, and this is why I gave it the 1 star from FanSided between Micah Parsons and Randy Moss. Yes, there's talent, great athlete. There are well-documented and very Googleable off-the-field concerns with Parsons. But I do want to emphasize this part a lot here. The whole passing on Randy Moss thing is overblown. It's not like Randy Moss was the next pick and then he was become the greatest receiver of all time, which he, of course, borderline was one of the greatest of all time. But Randy Moss went 13 picks later and wasn't even the next receiver taken. A lot of teams passed on Randy Moss. It wasn't just the Cowboys. And I don't like it because this is taking a linebacker. And I don't want Micah Parsons. Less to do with the off-the-field stuff, which is a totally valid concern, but more to do with the fact that I didn't love the film in terms of a top 10 pick. Good run stopper, great athlete, can blitz as well. I do not like him in coverage, and I still think he has a ways to go in terms of pressing, which makes sense because he's played linebacker for like 2 years. And yes, linebacker is a long-term concern for this Dallas Cowboys organization with Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, Keanu Neal, Javon Curse. All those guys could have their contracts not renewed or just expire as free agents next year. So I'm down to look at a linebacker. I don't want to take one at 10. I feel very confident that Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, or even maybe Kyle Pitts somehow, one of those 5 guys is going to be there for you at number 10. If they're not, try to trade down. I don't want to take Parsons in round 1. I simply do not. You guys can get your votes in here for me, though. Type 1 for yes, you want to draft Micah Parsons, or type 2 For no, you do not. You don't want to take the Penn State linebacker. You want to go in a different direction altogether. Get your votes in for me in the comment section. 1 for yes or 2 for no. Now, piggybacking off of this, I am filing this motion officially for Cowboys Twitter and YouTube and everything and media everywhere. I would like to ban Randy Moss comparisons. Not every player that we want to take, passing on him does not make him the next Randy Moss. The analogy never actually makes sense with what the actual outcome for Randy Moss was, who went 13 picks, so there was not the next receiver taken. Of course, he burned the Cowboys, and I get that. But passing on a player does not automatically make them Randy Moss. Kind of like how a quarterback who is good outside of structure with a big arm is not automatically Patrick Mahomes. So I officially move to ban Randy Moss comparisons, which I'm sure will only lead to more Randy Moss comparisons in the comments on this video. Let's go to my fourth story, as teased earlier. Giving Dorrance Armstrong more snaps. No, I hate this. Fake news on this one. I thought about 1 star, but I wanted to make it very clear. As many of you know, I hate this idea. Now, it was an opinion piece from Blogging the Boys, and I'm not trying to throw shade here whatsoever. I just strongly disagree. And I get it, Dorrance Armstrong, 4th round pick. He hasn't played more than like 28% of the snaps in a season. The problem is, if you're trying to give snaps to someone who hasn't had a ton of them, I would like to give snaps to somebody who has shown promise in limited playing time. I don't think Dorrance Armstrong has been that guy. Before we get to my arguments, I do want to hear from you guys in the comments here. Should Dorrance Armstrong play more? A simple Y for yes and for no will do. Get your votes in the comments section. As you guys can tell from my speech so far, my answer is a big fat no. Now, last year, Dorrance Armstrong did do a great job of getting tackles. I will give him credit for that. 1 tackle for loss, 1 quarterback hit. His pressure rate in 2020 was 6.9%. Now, that is nice. Don't get me wrong. But in terms of comparison to other edge rushers, it's actually not good. Now, this article from Blogging the Boys was like, give reps to Dorrance Armstrong over Terrell Basham. I disagree. I don't think either guy is an elite pass rusher by any stretch of the imagination. And even with not quite but close to it, double the snaps for Terrell Basham, look at their career stats. The tackles for Armstrong, a better rate. But the tackles for loss, the sacks, are all the pressure rate, all wildly in favor of Basham. In terms of the value that you get from being a pass rusher, which is what I want out of my third or fourth defensive end, unquestionably, statistically, it's Terrell Basham. And if we want to go with someone who hasn't had much of a chance to play, might I remind everybody that I would love to free Bradley Anae and get him on the field a little bit more. I know that somebody in this organization, I think Jerry in particular, likes Armstrong quite a bit. I think Mike Nolan liked him quite a bit as well. I haven't seen him. It's not like this is a high pressure rate guy, which I think is a good indicator of future success. He has not been that. So because of that, I don't want to give Dorrance Armstrong more snaps. I want to give Bradley Anae more reps, or even draft somebody this year and make him your number 3 edge instead.